Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be learning about basic geometry. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to learn about is a point. So what a point looks like, just like a little dot, and it's marked with a capital letter. So it's like a little dot, and for a capital letter we're going to do A. So we'd call this point A. Point A. And it doesn't just have to be A. You don't have to go in order. You can do any letter you want. So this would be point C. Let's write point C. Anyway, so that's it for a point. Let's erase the board. And next thing we're going to learn about is a line. Now, this is what a line looks like, just like a little straight line with arrows. Now, the reason why we have the arrows is because a line goes on and on in both ways and is made up of points. Now, you also mark it with two capital letters. And how it's made up of points is like this. Look what I'm drawing right here. Right there, you see how I just made the line with the points? And it's marked with two capital letters. Wait, let me just fix up our line. So we can write any two letters and call it any way. So for example, this would be, and this end would be A, this end would be B. So we could call this any way, so we'd call this either line AB, or line BA. So we can call it any way, and we can use any letter. So let's make another line to show you that. So this end would be maybe C or B. This one would be F. And then we're going to do, this could be named as line FB or line BF. So that is it for the line. Let's erase the board. Next thing we're going to learn about is called a line segment. It's like two big dots, a line, two big dots. It's basically just a portion of that line, and it's marked with two capital letters. So this is called a line segment. It's marked with two capital letters. And it's a portion of the line. So let's mark it with the capital letters here. C and D. So we'd call that line segment either CD, line segment CD, because we can call it any way. We could either call it line segment CD or line segment DC. Line segment DC. So that is a line segment. Let's erase the board. Okay. So far we've learned about points. We've learned about points, lines, and line segments. Line segments. Oh, I don't. Can we squeeze line segments in there? No, we can't. No, we can't. We can write a better line segment. We've learned about points, lines, and line segments. Line segments. So, yeah, we've learned about points, lines, and line segments. So, I think the next thing we're going to learn about is I think we're going to learn about array. We'll learn about array. Now, this is what array looks like. We're going to learn about array. Now, I'll show you guys what array looks like. This is like, I'm going to draw what it, like this. It's like a point, like a really big point, and it has an arrow. Those are two rays, actually. Those look like two rays. Get into that a little bit later. But right now, we'll first work on a ray. It's like a little point, a line, and an arrow. An array goes forward in one direction. And these are two rays. Array goes forward all the way in one direction. Only one. And it can't be named it's named with two letters, but it can't be named either way. It can only be named from the point first, then to the arrow. So, for example, CF, we can only call that ray. We can only call that ray CF. Ray. So remember, we start at the C and we go at the F, so we can only call it ray CF. Good. Can write it like that. So that is a ray. Now let's get into that cool double ray that I just made. That's called an angle, actually. It's actually called an angle. And there are three types of angles. They're called angles. That's right. Angles. Lousy handwriting. Capitals everywhere. They're called angles. So they start off with a point, just like a ray, but then you make another ray going up. And that point in the middle is called the vertex. And this time you mark it with three capital letters. And there are three types of angles. So like ABC, you can either call this angle ABC or CBA. And there's a special way you can write this. You can actually make a little mini angle and write this, look, a little mini angle. And now the reason why you can't call it AB or BC is because the vertex always has to be the middle. So you can either call it ABC or CBA. The vertex always has to be the middle letter in the name. So that is an angle. That's how you name an angle. And there are three types of angles. So let me just erase this and show you guys what the three types of angles look like. And so, there are three types of angles. And one of them is a right angle. One of them is called a right angle. Another one is called an obtuse angle. And another one is called an acute angle. So these are the three types of angles. There's one, there's two, there's three. So let's first learn about these individually. Let's erase everything. Okay. Okay, let's erase all of this. So we're going to learn about a right angle. Now, a right angle is like a straight line up. And, ooh, that's a really lousy straight line. Okay. And it's like a straight line up. with an arrow coming down at the vertex, and a straight line out, like that. And then you recognize a right angle with a square right in the vertex. Close to there, there's going to be a square. It's going to be all colored in. It might not be colored in, but it still means the same thing. So that is a right angle. It's perfectly straight. Now, yeah. And a right angle. A right angle. Well, a right angle is always equivalent. It's always equivalent to, well, it's equivalent to this. This is what it looks like. But it's always equivalent to 90 degrees. That little dot I put up there, that's a degree symbol. And degrees is the measurement unit that we use to measure these angles. And a right angle always equals 90 degrees. So let's erase this. And now let's learn about obtuse angles. So let me just write it out. Let's learn about obtuse angles. So an obtuse angle looks like this, with the arrowheads. Every angle has the arrowheads. And now look carefully. One of these is a right angle, but the obtuse angle is actually bigger. Right there, that's a right angle. Right there, that's a right angle. Right about there, it's a right angle. And now, as you guys can see, the obtuse angle is bigger. You know why? Because the obtuse angle is always more than 90 degrees, but it is less than 180 degrees. So it could be anywhere from like 91 degrees to 179 degrees. It can be anywhere through that. That's an obtuse angle. We have one more type of angle to learn. And that type of angle is called a acute angle. Let me just write it out. Now this is what an acute angle looks like. That's a right angle. So look at the acute. That's a right angle. As you guys can see by the square. Let me just write it out so you guys don't forget. That's a right angle. Okay, we can write a better right angle. Anyways, right angle to line. That's equivalent to 90 degrees. We'll just write right angle at the bottom. That's equivalent to 90 degrees. Okay, so that's a right angle. But what is an acute angle? So an acute angle is less than 90 degrees, but it's always more than 0 degrees. Always more than 0. As guys can see, I'm adding those little dots because that's the degree symbol. So it's anywhere from 1 degree to 89 degrees. 89 degrees. And there's one last angle though that you guys I haven't mentioned. I mentioned there's only 3, but there's actually a 4th one. You guys know what it's called? It's called a straight angle. called a straight angle. And that is always equivalent to 180 degrees. It's always equivalent. It can't be nothing more, nothing less. This is what a straight angle looks like. It's like just like a straight line. It looks like a line, but it's not. You know why? Because it has like a little, that's a right angle right there. Because you see an angle square? That's 90 degrees. And that looks like two of these. So 90 plus 90 is 180. Let's erase that. So yeah, a straight angle is like just like a straight line. Like an absolute straight line. And how you know there's a straight angle is with that like little semicircle I just made. That's how you know and recognize a straight angle. And remember, it's always equivalent to 180 degrees. Now, let's use these angles. But there are lines and angles that are different. So like, here's the first one. If there is ever a line or like angles combined with a right angle, it's called perpendicular lines. Yeah, it's called perpendicular lines. Now, they're like lines that like combined, like here, let me draw one. They're like lines like this. They always have to have the arrow marks. Like this. And look at this. It has a right angle right there. So since it has a right angle, it's called a perpendicular line. Like there, look, there's another right angle. There's another right angle. See if you guys can spot all these. There's another one. And they're called God, we need more room. Okay, let me write a little bit smaller. They're called perpendicular lines. They're called perpendicular lines. Now those are an example of perpendicular lines. So let's just erase the word. Let's erase the board. Okay. Now I have one more thing to show you. This is called parallel lines. Like, look, here's some examples. Parallel lines look like this, or like this, or like this. You could spot them in shapes. And exactly, there are lines that keep on going on and never touch each other. They're parallel to each other. Those are parallel lines. And like, look. Let me use a different color for this. Parallel lines. Parallel lines. Anyways, that's it. That's it for parallel lines. Let's erase the board. So erase the lines. There we go. Guys, we did it. We've completed our basic geometry collection. So let's just review all the things that oh wow, that's really big. All the things that we learned. We learned about points. We learned about lines. We learned about, let's actually make that a little bit smaller actually. Let's make that on the second one. We learned about points. We learned about lines. We learned about line segments. Let's break that out. We learned about angles and rays. So, learned about rays. We learned about angles. We learned about perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines. Oh, one thing we forgot were commas. Rookie mistake. And we learned about parallel lines. So that's it, guys. We finished our geometry collection. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time in the next video. Peace out, guys.